Hi everybody, it's John Thompson. I'm doing a screencast on building a paper model of the German Ocean Liner Bremen. Now, I'm doing it in PowerPoint because I like the fact that I can do the presentation and I can actually show the pictures. It's a lot easier for me to do the presentation without holding the physical model in front of the camera. The physical model itself, to give you an idea of how difficult it would be, the model's about 4 feet and it's also in a case right now, a very big, large, heavy case. So pictures do help in that respect if something is very big and you want to do a presentation. Uh, Here goes. Here's the model. As you can see, this is the beginning of the ocean liner, Bremen, and what I did was I had three pieces I had to join together. You have a forward piece, a middle piece, and a stern piece, and they're joined together by a strip of paper connecting the sections. And so that basically totals out to the first 5 parts of the model. Now, I mentioned about the Bremen being an ocean liner in 1929 that sailed for North German Lloyd, and her sister Europa, who also sailed for North German Lloyd. Bremen was significant in that she took the blue riband from the British liner Mauritania that held it for 22 years. So it basically modeling the ship, it makes it a historic ship. I also have a connection to this model because my grandfather sailed on this ship as well. So here you can see, like I said, the first 5 pieces are there. This is what's called a waterline model, meaning that there's no machinery, no propellers. It basically is designed to be mounted on a board to look like it's going to sea. And you will also notice too that with paper models, you cut them out. You cut the parts out of a sheet and you fold them according to the directions. So I'm going to show you in a couple slides what I did on the next for the next part of construction. Here's the next part of construction. This is actually forming the internal support of the ship. As you can see, it looks very much like an actual ship in that you have a keel, you have bulkheads and frames, and these basically will become what the skin attaches to and basically makes the model stronger. Right now, as you look at it, it looks pretty flimsy, but that's all going to change as the model progresses. Here you can see decks being attached to the Bremen. Now these are the stern decks, and unfortunately my workbench is a mess, so I do apologize for that. But you will see the stern decks attached, and it does start to add strength to the model. Now, I did add fittings and a lot of stuff that you're not going to see when the skin covers the hull, but I did follow the directions on that. So we're going to move on to the next slide. Next slide here, we're dealing with what they call skinning the hull. And the hull skins basically, again, are pre-printed. They're all pre-colored, and you don't have to do any painting really on this part of the model. What you're doing is you're cutting out colored pre-printed parts, and you're cutting out the outlines of them, and you're forming the parts to the shape of the hull that you just built with the framing. So everything glues on there. Now you do have a couple of problems working with white glue, I want to point out. Get a few seconds to work with it before it bonds. Once the glue bonds to the paper, it's pretty much the model's done. You can't really do much to get it apart. So that's something to keep in mind. This model also is made by a German company called HMV. There are directions available in English, which are very good. There are other companies that do make these types of models. Unfortunately, the directions can be either all in Polish, as per one, there's a company called Mali Modelars of Poland, and their directions are exclusively in Polish. But the illustrations are pretty good, so you can sort of figure it out. I built a model of the Polish ocean liner Batory from their kit, so it was actually a very nice model when done. A little smaller and took about the same time to build as the Bremen. I spent about a year on this project. So anyway, there's the skin on the ship. Here in the next slide, we have the basic superstructure. Now you'll notice here that we have funnels aboard, and you'll see catapults, and you'll start to see cranes. It starts really looking like a real ship once the basic details start going on. Again, everything is all made of paper. The parts are all cut out from sheets, and I had to form all the parts. You literally make the model. You make the parts then make the model. So that's something very important to realize when you're doing a paper model. It's the kind of model that requires you to be patient. Like I said before, it's the kind of model that you're not going to get done tomorrow, you're not going to get done the next day or next week. Like I said, this took a year to do start to finish. So I'm going to go on to the next slide here. And we're looking at the detailing here. Here you can see the masts and flags and rigging going on. So this is basically what the ship looks like. Again, it's all basically manufacturing and making parts out of paper. Now the next slide is the finished model. This is basically everything in place, all the lifeboats aboard and airplanes. And this brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.